Alright, in this video we're going to discuss properties of special parallelograms. So in the last few videos we were talking about parallelograms, and we saw that they had 5 properties, and you want to make sure that you know those properties very well, because you're going to have to apply them when you're solving problems. So now we're going to take our parallelogram and we're going to give it a few more attributes to change it into other special parallelograms. Alright, so the first one that we have here is a rhombus. So if you notice the figures here on the left, they have congruent sides and the opposite sides are parallel. Now the opposite sides being parallel, the green and the blue highlights here show that it's a parallelogram. Then when we make all the sides congruent, that makes it a rhombus. So both of these are rhombuses. Over here they are not rhombuses, and maybe you want to see if you can figure out why they're not. So the definition of a rhombus here is an equilateral parallelogram. Okay, so you'll notice in the definition it has to be a parallelogram, then we make all the sides equilateral and it becomes a rhombus. Alright, so again, I'm going to keep reminding you in the video, remember all the polygons we're talking about are quadrilaterals and specifically parallelograms that we're going to give some special characteristics to change them into other special parallelograms. Alright, so let's talk about the properties. Let's draw in some diagonals here since we're talking about the diagonals. So the diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. Alright, so these are all going to be right angles in here. Typically we only mark one because if one of them is a right angle, they all are. And they bisect each other. Okay, so these two pieces are going to be congruent and these two pieces are congruent, although all 4 pieces are not congruent to each other, which they will be in a different special parallelogram. Alright, and then a little more on the diagonals. So let's draw in the 2 diagonals here. The diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angles of a rhombus. So since it's a parallelogram, we already know that the opposite angles are congruent. Now, this is not true of just any parallelogram. That's important. That's a common mistake. But for a rhombus now, when we make all the sides congruent, the opposite angles have been bisected. So these 4 angles are going to be congruent, and these 4 angles are going to be congruent. Alright, so that's all our properties of a rhombus right now. We're going to summarize these soon. You're going to want to go on to the next video where I will talk about rectangles. We'll see you there.